Welcome in to the 49th episode of the Southern Boys Sports Podcast. My name is Drew Hull, along with my co-host Ben Clay.
What's going on, guys?
We are back in the Southern Boys Sports offices here in episode 49. We've got a fun one planned for you. We've got some trap games in college football here in 2023. We got some more breakout stars that me and Ben want to discuss here in 2023. We have got even who we think is going to be featured on the cover of NCAA EA Sports College Football 24. If we even get the game, we'll discuss those details. Loaded, packed, fun episode here for you here in episode 49. We appreciate the support and love on episode 48. If you're not already, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe over on YouTube, 5-star review on Spotify. But first and foremost, a lot of things off my chest there, Ben. Most importantly, how's this past week been treating you, buddy?
It was all right. Got a good week off last week. Didn't have much. It was nice. It was really nice, actually. Getting geared up, going to Hawaii next week. That'll be a very fun trip. Definitely going to enjoy it, going with the church and things like that. Excited for that. And then I'm also very excited for episode 50, I'm getting geared up for that.
Yeah, it may be a little bit. Obviously, Ben said he's going to be in Hawaii. We're going to try and see if we can't get the old goat Beatty Noon back onto the show. We're going to try and work on it.
We have to.
But maybe a little bit of a delay on episode 50. I don't really know yet, but it's going to be a fun, exciting episode next week or in 2 weeks or whenever we can get it done. But nonetheless, Ben, I am absolutely hyped. I think it's 75 days till FBS college football begins.
Wonderful.
Been listening to some tailgate music, been vibing to college football, listening to some college football podcasts like Southern Boys Sports here, and just get you in the mood. So we're ready for it. We're going to talk some offseason stuff. Look forward to these 4 matchups, right? We've got biggest trap games of 2023, but we're going to start with a hypothetical, and that's the EA Sports College Football video game that's got a lot of coverage, whether it's in the media, the national news, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to say. This has been there. That game has been there. We've heard rumblings of the players opting out due to NIL. They want more of that $500 paycheck that EA Sports is willing to pay them. And, for a lot of fans, they understand. For a lot of fans, they say, hey, just give us the game. We'll download the rosters. We'll do everything else. If you just give us the game and generic players, we don't care. Just give us the game. I'm on that side personally. We'll get to you on that first, Ben. What are you thinking about the players opting out of the video game for only that $500 check? And then we'll get to our eventual best candidates for a NCAA 24 cover athlete.
I think it would depend on how you do it. Like, if they did it like back in NCAA 14 where it's like, okay, the players might not have their names, but it's still the players.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. But if they start to do it where it's just like randomly generated, that's not really – I want to play the game to play with like the players that I see in college and that I enjoy watching. So that's really why I would play, other than like the mascot matchup. There's not really much to it. So really just that. I hope that they can figure this out with the players. And it's difficult because these players definitely deserve money for it. But $500 to that's a lot of people that have to get that money, even like the bums on your roster. Right. So for like Ball State, which is just like those players need to get paid, all of them. So it'll be difficult to do and it'll be difficult to figure out, but I hope they do.
Yeah, but I mean, I saw a tweet from, I think, Saturday Game Day or one of those pages. So shout out, credit to them. I can't remember exactly what page and what tweet it was, but they were saying just give us the game, right? Just give us QB number 5 from Oregon State, right? Or give us QB number 7 from Tennessee or QB number 13 from Florida State. We can cook, right? The college football community can cook. We will create the rosters. We'll import the rosters. We'll do all that. I promise you that. We'll do all that. So just allow us the game. Just allow us some of those generic names in there and just let us cook. You know what I mean? Just let us cook. That's my take on it, Ben. But like I said, like I promised, prefacing this subject, we've got some NCAA 24 cover athletes here. We've got a few candidates. We've got a few additions that we want to go over. I think I'm going to try and mock up some covers for whoever we come up with. So those will probably be on Instagram, maybe even over on Twitter if I get to it. So check out for those things at @so_boy_sports on Twitter, at @southern_boy_sports pod on Instagram. Look for those graphics. We're excited to talk cover athletes. Ben, you got the floor, buddy.
I'm going to let Drew go with the more interesting pick, and I'm going to go with the pick that a lot of people want and expect. I'm going to go with Drake May. Coming off a very – he was he was a potential Heisman for a lot of the year. Like the whole first half of the year, 38 touchdowns and 7 picks as a true freshman is very good stats. Coming into an offense with Mac Brown, you lose Josh Downs, but you don't lose that much. So I think he definitely has potential to grow and then continue to be a Heisman candidate up into 2024, where they're like, okay, one of the best offensive quarterbacks in the league that everyone knows, we have to pick Drake May. So I think that he could definitely be a candidate for this job.
Yeah, Drake May is going to be up there, right? Obviously, a lot of people are talking about him leaving for the draft and, putting him on the game. I think if you're going to do one of the QBs, whether it's Drake May or Caleb Williams out of that class, I go with Caleb Williams 10 times out of 10. He's a Heisman winner. You got the brand at USC. You've got a more fun, just potential for the cover and the cover art, whether it's, you're in, LA or you're at USC or, it's a big time brand, you're a Heisman winner. I think there's a lot more to work with Caleb Williams than there is in Drake May. So if you're going to go that route of rising junior QBs, then I think you go with Caleb Williams. But then again, I guess if Drake May comes out and wins the Heisman this year and UNC has a great season, then there's definitely a conversation there. But you're taking Drake May over Caleb Williams?
Here's the thing. It depends because Drake May is a freshman and Caleb Williams is a sophomore.
He's a redshirt freshman.
Still.
So he could go to the draft.
So it really depends on if he goes to the draft.
Yeah.
If he stays, I think they go with the hardest quarterback and they go with Drake May. But if they both leave,
I think they both leave.
Then it's perfectly reasonable to go with Caleb Williams over him.
Yeah. I think if they both leave, I don't
think Caleb Williams is a certified pick. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they both leave, I quite honestly don't see a world where they put a guy like Caleb Williams or Drake May onto the cover. I think they go with a current NCAA athlete if they can work out, the obviously the $500 paycheck that EA wants to pay them and stuff of that nature. I've got my pick.
Hold on. I'm not sure. Do we think the older games had people who just went into the draft?
I haven't really thought about that.
I know that's how.
But a lot of them weren't highly touted guys. I mean, you had Denard Robinson. He's not like the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, Tim Tebow on 11, I believe. You had RG3 though on 13.
Yeah, you might have. But I don't know if that was the year they went to the draft.
Well, but it's also different because those guys you didn't have the NIL, so you couldn't pay them up for being on the game while they were in college. So once RG3 got to the NFL, then you could pay him for his likeness on the NCAA video game. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different now with the NIL. Obviously, we're not NIL and NCAA EA college football experts. We're just here to give some cover athletes. Been my cover athlete.
Denard was drafted in 2013.
Yeah, so the year after he was put on the game.
But it is different now.
The NIL, Kinshawn Judkins, Ben.
I love that.
Let's spitball with this one. Kinshawn Judkins is an absolute freaking beast, right? Mm-hmm. SEC freshman of the year, all SEC first team running back, 1,500 yards on the ground, 16 touchdowns. Him and Lane Kiffin would be an NIL masterpiece on the cover of EA College Football 24. Think about Lane Kiffin.
He's not going to be on the cover.
Lane Kiffin.
They're not doing
and
that.
Kinshawn Judkins on the cover of EA College Football 24.
I hate that.
I wouldn't love it.
If Lane Kiffin's on the cover, I don't know if I'd buy it.
I don't know if I'm predicting Kiffin to be on the cover, but I think Judkins is an excellent pick. A lot of people love Judkins. A lot of people love what he's doing at Ole Miss. Obviously, it's not a top 5 program in the country as of June 12th or 13th while we're recording this episode. So maybe you don't put him up there just because of the overall team success. But I love Kinshawn Judkins. He's probably the best freshman in college football last year. If not, then maybe number 2 or 3. He's a top 5 running back in college football as well. He is one of those guys that with a good 2023-2024 season, a good season from Ole Miss that maybe puts him in Heisman conversations to the first couple weeks of the season, maybe like a Drake May type team and a Drake May type conversation in the Heisman, right? Then you propel yourself into the conversation of that EA college football cover athlete. Now, obviously, we're speaking here in hypotheticals, Ben, because if the person opts out of the game, they don't want to be in the game, then they obviously cannot be on the cover. But if Judkins is down to go, I think Judkins is the excellent pick. I think him and Kiffin are NIL geniuses. I think Kiffin's worked the NIL like a magician. Obviously, a lot of people recognize Ole Miss's brand. It's an SEC team. I think he's the perfect pick.
I agree. I think Judkins is an exciting young player and an exciting program right now. I don't see anything against it. If he continues doing what he's doing, it's a perfectly fine pick. He puts himself maybe in Heisman, just thoughts. Doesn't even have to be contention, but just thoughts.
Yeah.
Almost did. I would say he did this year.
Yeah.
As a freshman running back,
Yeah.
I'd say it was in the back of people's heads
Yeah.
that Judkins could be up there. So I think if he continues to keep on doing what he's doing and just plays to his game, I think it's a perfectly fine pick.
Yeah. I love Kenshawn Judkins. Again, get over. Oh, it's a Monday. Yeah, it's a Monday. Get at us over on Twitter. Get at us over on Instagram. Let us know, who would you have as the NCAA 24 cover athlete? We've got a lot more discussions coming about this video game later in the offseason.
Yep.
Should be a lot of fun. Ben, let's get to some college football trap games. Let's move segments. We're here in segment number 2. I'm verbalizing this so I can see this editing when I want to clip out trap games. Ben, a lot of trap games to get to here in 2023. After the trap games in segment 3, we've got some breakout stars to talk about. We did it in a couple episodes back. We're here back at it again here in episode 49, but 4 trap games to talk about, Ben. 4 exciting games throughout the college football season. Let's start in Tuscaloosa. When we were prepping for the episode, me and Ben were talking about some of the players on Alabama's roster, the trap games and stuff like that. And we really came to the realization, like, we haven't talked about Alabama all that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are under the assumption that Bama doesn't have a quarterback. We're going to have to figure out Bama's quarterback before we can even talk about the team. And I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've subconsciously kind of fell in that trap. But we're here to talk about him here on episode 49. Bama fans, here you go. Biggest college football trap game in 2023 for me, one of them at least, one of the top 4, is Alabama taking on Arkansas. Alabama v. Arkansas at home. And here's why it's a trap game when we break it down. Before that is a game at Kyle Field against A&M, which you lost 2 years ago and only won by 4 last year with Jalen Milroe. And then you have at A&M, then you have home against Arkansas. Then you have a home game against Tennessee, which was obviously probably the biggest game of your 2022 season, which you lost by 3 on a last-second field goal at Tennessee. So it's a revenge game. They come into Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa. You're going to be worried about being A&M at Kyle Field because the last time that game took place, you lost, right, in that setting. And then you have a Tennessee team who's more than likely going to be a top 15 to 10 team in the nation coming into that Alabama game, hoping they don't lose to UTSA in one of the first weeks of the season. But, I mean, a talented Arkansas team can come in and bite them. I think KJ Jefferson's got the weapons. Maybe it wasn't super close last year, but there's no reason Arkansas can't come in, pull a surprise upset. Not saying it's going to happen, Ben.
That's fair.
Nor am I saying that either of these, upsets or trap games are going to happen, but it's definitely got potential. The 2 games before and after it are definitely dangerous for Alabama.
I mean, A&M versus Alabama has been a trap game every year for Bama.
Yep.
But it's for me, like, it's a weird thing where, like, okay, I know Bama's the better team, but for some reason they just cannot play well against this team.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like Bryce Young at quarterback, that's just an unfortunate thing. So they have to put in Jalen Milroe. I mean, that's just something like it happens. We're going to have to see what they do this year with Jalen Milroe, even if it is him. So it just depends on like I think it depends on how Bama adjusts to these situations. Because at Kyle Field, that's a rough environment to play at against a team that you've almost lost to last year, lost to the year before.
Yeah.
They're confident playing against you, which is something that you don't really feel as Bama. So it's an interesting game. I love Arkansas. I love KJ Jefferson. So I think that could definitely be a trap game. KJ, he seems like a player that I could expect him to play well under pressure this year.
He's that dude.
And
that dude.
I am excited to watch him play this Bama defense. See what he can do. And so I think I like both of these games as trap games because Bama right now, it depends on their confidence levels. If it's low, then both of these teams could definitely pull out a win. Even A&M is where they are right now in college football, which is kind of strange. But I like both of these teams against Bama, and I think both of them can pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention Alabama's got, not an easy schedule, right? Obviously, they come out against MTSU, the Power 5 slayer after they absolutely blew the doors off of Miami and Hard Rock last season. That was brutal. But they have Texas, then they have at South Florida, but they have Texas, home against Ole Miss, then you visit Mississippi State and A&M in back-to-back weeks before you come home against Arkansas, Tennessee, and LSU. So not to mention you're at Miss State and A&M, which aren't easy SEC environments. A&M's kind of the highlight right there just because of the way that game's gone for Alabama in the last couple of years. But then you go home against Tennessee, home against LSU, which is probably one of the toughest stretches that you're going to see In college football, Tennessee's expected to be a pretty good team, and LSU's obviously has really, really high expectations in the SEC this season. So home against Arkansas on October the 14th. Didn't go so great for the Razorbacks last season, but Alabama, I think they can come out. They could be looking forward to Tennessee or trying to come off a tough loss against A&M or riding high off A&M, looking forward to Tennessee, LSU, and maybe Arkansas comes in and bites them in the butt. You never know. It's college football. A lot of things can happen. That is trap game number 1. Ben, number 2. Let's go to the ACC. Let's go to the Atlantic Coast for an Atlantic Coast matchup. Clemson, home against FAU. So not an ACC team, but an Atlantic Coast matchup nonetheless. It's coming after Duke and Charleston Southern in the non-con play, but before the Florida State game at FSU. So at FSU, arguably the biggest game on Clemson, Dabo Swinney, Cade Klubnik's schedule here in 2023. Before that game, you have to take on an FAU team that landed one of the bigger portal quarterbacks in Casey Thompson, a solidified Power 5 head coach in Tom Herman, who's now at the Group of 5 level. Not saying FAU comes in and beats them, but not a blowover Group of 5 team here in the non-con, Ben.
No, for sure not. And it's an interesting thing where, like, you could definitely catch Clemson where their heads are not right.
Yeah.
You know, coming off 2 easy wins, or 2 should be easy wins, with a lot of games ahead to focus on, it could be a game where they're not locked in. I mean, basically freshman quarterback is Cade Klubnik. I mean, it's the right time to do it. It's the right time for FAU. It does depend on if Casey and Tom Herman can connect well.
Yeah.
And if they can prepare themselves right for this game. Like, really, for FAU, like, you put it all in this game, and I mean, FAU has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So you put it all in this game, and you can definitely pull out a win. Now, do I think Clemson is going to lose this game? Probably not. But that's what trap games are for, you know? You don't think they're going to lose, but they definitely could. FAU, team that could fire, just come out of nowhere and win. And so Clemson, I would say they have to stay focused mentally and don't get too ahead of themselves for these next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, Clemson's got a middle of the road schedule, right? Because after that Florida State game, you go to Syracuse, home against Wake Forest. Then you got an off week. Then you go at Miami, at NC State. Then you got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and at South Carolina. So that back end of the schedule, coming off the bye week, that is not an easy or a friendly back half of the schedule. But if you catch a Clemson team who's looking forward to ACC play, whether it's Wake Forest or Syracuse, or they're looking forward to the bye week, or they're looking forward to going out there and beating Florida State, because that's the biggest game of the year, that could make or break their playoff contention. How much you like it or not in that 14 playoff doesn't really matter. Could make or break the Tigers' playoff contention here in 2023. So September 23rd against Florida State, that September 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network against Florida Atlantic. Again, we're not saying they're going to go out there and lose to the FAU Owls, but it is certainly a trap game for Clemson. If they come out looking forward to Florida State at home, you never know, right? You never know. I think FAU could come in there and sting them. Let's get to trap game number 3, Ben. We're 75% of the way through this trap game list.
Sure.
We're going out west. We're going out west to talk about the Washington Huskies for the second time in 2 episodes. Proud of ourselves here on this one. Washington, home against Oregon State. Home against Oregon State. This comes directly on the heels of at USC and home against Utah. If they go out there, they win those games, they're coming in 10-0, and Washington thinks they're going to waltz their way in to the Pac-12 championship and hopefully a playoff, appearance, because then they've got at Oregon State, and then they got Wazoo in the Apple Cup. So rivalry week isn't going to be easy, but I think DJ Uiagalelei, Oregon State, all these guys are going to come out ready to play. Like, the Beavers are going to come out ready to play. They're a sleeper team of the Pac-12 for a lot of people. For a lot of people, obviously, diehard college football fans, they recognize Oregon State as a really good team. But if Washington comes in here, Kalen DeBoer's team goes in there expecting to just go out there and wipe the floor with Oregon State and Wazoo back-to-back weeks, make the Pac-12 championship, and pack their bags and head to a college football semifinal bowl game. It's not that easy for them. I think the Huskies have a great chance to be in that 10-0 position, but I think Oregon State's also got the makeup to be quite the trap game for the Huskies down the stretch of 2023.
Yeah, the thing for me is, it really comes down to, this is a trap game if Washington is 10-0. I really wouldn't say it's a trap game otherwise. Because I mean, with this playoff schedule or 14 playoffs, I mean, you have to win in the Pac-12. You have to win
Basically,
the Pac-12. You have to win
Yeah.
the Pac-12. So for this team, it really comes down to if it's a trap game if they're 11-0. And I would say that it's potentially possible with this Washington team. You know, I love Michael Penix throwing the ball. He's one of the best pocket passers in college football. And so I like him there. Now the odds at Washington State is 11-0. Washington, sorry.
Yeah.
Washington. What if it was 11?
11-0.
Washington is 11-0. I'm probably
Washington
against it.
State was 11-0.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Cameron Ward does. What if he did? What if he won Heisman?
Yeah.
The odds that Washington is 11-0 is kind of not seeable for me. Just me personally. I don't know about you, but I don't really see it in my eyes. Just with a rough schedule against like Oregon, Utah, USC, and still I would say like Arizona State's a trap game. Things like that. Preparing for USC. Arizona State comes in. Maybe Kenny Dillingham. You never know. But Oregon State for me is a good team.
Yeah.
You know, I am looking forward to watching them play this year. See how DJ Uiagalelei performs on a new environment. And so if Washington is 10-0, it is a perfect trap game for them. You know, they're locked in, trying to figure out who they play the next week in the Pac-12 championship. And Oregon State comes out and absolutely hands it to them. At Oregon State, you never know.
Yeah.
So I think if they are 11-0, it's a perfect trap game, and it could definitely happen.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, like, Washington doesn't have a super easy schedule, right? Like, if in the Pac-12, you're either going to be below average or great. Like, there's not really an in-between there because there's so many good teams. It's so top-heavy in the Pac-12. Plus, you're depending on a Colorado team. We're going to see how good they are. You're looking at a Kenny Dillingham coach Arizona State team. Maybe they're a wild card team in the Pac-12. Like, nothing is solidified in the Pac-12. But, Ben, you mentioned it. Oregon earlier on in the year. Then you got USC, Utah, and Oregon State. That's a trap game we're talking about. But then you got Arizona State and Michigan State in the non-con earlier in the season. So nothing is made for Washington. I'm not saying they're going to come in this game 10-0, right? We'll get the hot takes later on in the offseason. But, I mean, Oregon State is a team that's got the makeup to go in there and shock them. They did it to Oregon last year. They went in there. They won the Civil War. So the stuff is it's going to have to be – Washington's going to have to be great. Right, you have to be a great football team to make the college football playoff this year coming out of the Pac-12 because you got USC, you got back-to-back Pac-12 champions in Utah, and you got a scary Bo Nix-led Oregon team. You've got to win all three of those games, not to mention survive a couple, trap games in Oregon State, Arizona State, Michigan State. Like nothing's made for Washington. But you come in there, week 11, week 12, Oregon State, Washington State. Just be prepared, college football fans.
You know, in my mind, just in like certain aspects, this is really giving me Tennessee, South Carolina vibes.
That's what I'm saying.
It really is.
That's what I'm saying.
Washington somehow does that.
Exactly.
Oregon State, we talked about it last year. I was like, South Carolina, they have the pieces to upset a team. And I said it, and guess what happened? So I think Oregon State, this time we are both saying it.
Yeah.
They have the pieces to upset a team.
Yeah.
So I think it really could come in like, if DJ throws up 6, if DJ counts to 6 on his hand, I'll
pulls
pay
a
you
Spencer
money.
Rattler, yeah.
But I think that could be a very interesting thing. And, in certain aspects, I think it is very competitive.
Maybe I'm talking out of personal experience here, right? Obviously, I'm wearing the Tennessee shirt, Tennessee jersey in the back. If you're new, huge Tennessee fan. Maybe I'm talking out of personal experience. But South Carolina last year just crushed all of the hopes and dreams of Tennessee fans across the nation, right? Like, it really was not expected at all. Right, it really was not expected at all. You look at that schedule in the preseason, you say, all right, we got tough game against LSU, tough game against Alabama, tough game against Georgia, maybe a trap against Kentucky or Florida. Blow the doors off Kentucky, hold Will Levis. He threw like 99 yards and 3 interceptions. Get past that on Halloween. We were flying through that, right? Obviously, we beat Alabama at home. Huge game for the Tennessee program. Go in between the hedges. We lose to Georgia. That's fine, right? We have 1 loss. Probably going to make the college football playoff, right? If Georgia wins the SEC championship, we're probably going to be in. That's probably what the Tennessee locker room was thinking, if I'm being completely honest with you, because that's what the media was feeding them. Then you go out there in Williams-Brice, and you've beaten up pretty good on South Carolina the past couple of years recently, and you go out there and you get your freaking doors blown off by a South Carolina team that's like 8-5. And then they got hot, and then they beat Clemson. So it's about getting hot at the right time. It's college football. Right? We say it all the time. It's college football. Anything can happen. Any team can get hot. And you're right on that one. Right on with the Tennessee comparison. It's going to have to be up to Washington, though, to come in either 9-1 or 10-0 to this college football game because they've got a tough task ahead of them with that schedule.
You know what amazes me in this situation is the what if. What if Tennessee did not lose?
Oh, no, yeah.
Ohio State would not be in.
Yes.
We would not get that Ohio State-Georgia game.
Well, and then, I mean.
It'd be so different to what we.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention, let's say Tennessee goes out and wins that game. Maybe you're not, relying on and then Hendon Hooker doesn't get hurt, and then maybe Hendon Hooker's in New York, right? It's just like a lot of stuff you never know. Obviously,
South Carolina game, actually.
Right. So, Hendon Hooker was out of Heisman contention after the injury. We lost by 30 points. We got there and just absolutely smoked Vandy with Joe Milton.
You were worried about that game.
I was. I mean, who wouldn't be? I feel like a lot of people.
Because
you're looking at it from a neutral point of view. If Dylan Gabriel got hurt and y'all had, I'm trying to think of West Virginia.
We lost 49-0 to Texas.
Yeah, West Virginia, one of the bottom teams in the Pac or the Big 12. I probably
we lost to West Virginia.
Y'all lost West. Yeah, you did lose.
Garrett Green, I hate that guy.
Yeah. Anyways, if y'all played a bottom team in the Big 12, a bottom team in the Big 12, and then I saw it from a neutral point of view and said, no, Davis Bevel's not that bad. I mean, from what we saw, Joe Milton literally could have sold that game for us. Luckily, we went out there and won 56
or
59-0. So, anyways, traces of that 2023 Washington, 2022 Tennessee team, Oregon State in one of the last weeks of the season could be a huge trap game for Kalen DeBoer and company. Let's get to our second talk on Ole Miss this episode, Ben. We talked about Kenshon Judkins as a potential EA Sports College football cover athlete. We're going to talk about him again here in the trap game segment, and we're going to talk about Ole Miss at Tulane, the Green Wave, Week 1 in Nolens, in New Orleans, home of the Green Wave for Willie Fritz and their team. This is not a gimme game for Ole Miss in the non-con. Ty Spears out the door. He's a Tennessee Titan, Ben. He's a Tennessee Titan here in Nashville.
They're excited about him here.
I know.
It could be interesting,
Yeah, listening to the local radio, a lot of people like Ty Spears.
The fact that his bad knees does not sit well with fans, I think they're excited about him.
Yeah, we'll see if Rand Carthon made the right decision on that one. We've got a little NFL knowledge up here, although we're a college football pod. Especially Ben. Ben's the NFL guy. I'm not gonna lie. Ben's
every sport but this.
Ben's the fantasy football guy. I'm more of a college football guy, but no, I digress. Ole Miss at Tulane, Week 1. This could be a huge trap game, man. I know it's Week 1. I know we might get blasted for putting a Week 1 game as a trap game, but I honestly think the way that Lane Kiffin comes in and pitches this game is, just go out here, beat this team, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, I'm not in the Ole Miss locker room, but if they go in sleeping on this team, I promise you Tulane will come out and beat you.
I've seen it firsthand. OU against Tulane. I was scared for my life. This Tulane team, I love Michael Pratt. Michael Pratt is a guy that will not give up.
Yeah.
And when you're against him, it's quite annoying. But when you're watching him, it's so much fun to watch. Michael Pratt, great player. The fact that they don't have Ty J really hurts them, but I think Michael Pratt will most likely be able to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you here. Ole Miss to a team that they did just finish 6th in the country. So I mean, you're not sleeping on them, but you're they lose a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
So you're focused on just getting this win out the way.
Yeah.
And you could overthink that, and then Tulane comes out here strong. I memean, coming off a great. Tulane, I would say, still has momentum. So I think they could definitely pull this one off. And I like this because this game could shift both teams' seasons.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely an interesting game.
Yeah. I mean, for Ole Miss, they've got a relatively easy schedule. Obviously, they got Alabama on the schedule, which is never easy by any means, right? But this game's Week 2. They play Mercer at home. So you get that Mercer win out of the way. I think they go out there, they beat up on that FCS team, no problem. So Week 1, you're flying high, you're going 1-0. You probably win that game 56-0, 56-3, something like that. That's my prediction on that 1-0 for the Rebels. Now, you go into Week 2 against Tulane, and you got the Green Wave in New Orleans. Obviously, you lose Ty Spears, talked about him, Dorian Williams at linebacker, a couple guys out wide, a couple playmakers, but Michael Pratt, great QB. Ben talked about it. Willie Fritz, really good coach, pretty good defense at Tulane. We've seen it the past couple of years, especially last year with that 11-win team. Like Ben said, finished top 10 in the country. So I love Jackson Dart. I love what Ole Miss is doing. I never really have anything bad to say about Ole Miss except the fact that they have Lane Kiffin, and he kind of that's him stabbing Tennessee in the back.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Stabbed Tennessee in the back after a 7-5 season. I like Ole Miss. Hold on. I like Ole Miss, and I like what they got going, but I really do think at Tulane is like the atmosphere for that one. The frat boys are going to be out to play.
They're
frat boys are going to be out to play. So we will see. Never forget when we thought we broke some breaking news on Southern Boys Sports when we got a report that Lane Kiffin was leaving for Auburn, and then he actually turned out to stay. No, we left that. We didn't take that. Yeah, we left that in the episode, and they didn't go too good for us. He obviously stayed at Ole Miss. I can't remember what episode that is on, but for context, we were doing a podcast, obviously, and it was one of the first off-season episodes. And it had come out, like we saw a report on Twitter, like breaking news. Lane Kiffin has been in conversations with Auburn, and he may lose to go to Opelika County. We broke it on the spot. Like we didn't second guess. We didn't think twice about breaking that news. We broke the news on the show, and then we had to backtrack like 50 times. So it wasn't great. Maybe we need to wait a little bit next time. And
we probably should just think about it because it's not even going to be breaking. We put it out the next day.
Yeah. So. Mistakes were made, lessons were learned there. I can't remember what episode that is on. But yeah, Lane Kiffin, Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, couple defensive transfers. I like the team at Tulane in week number 2 is not a gimme game. Could be a trap game for Ole Miss. Now, Ben, segment number 3. We're about halfway done with the pod. Are you ready to jump into the third segment of episode 49?
I'm perfectly ready.
Dude, let's freaking do it. We have got some breakout stars here in 2023. Now, I think in the last episode that we did this, we had some good guys. I know I had Trevor Etienne, I know I had Peter Woods, and I know I had Squirrel White. And I can't remember a couple of the other guys I had. Who did you have?
I had Carson Steele, Jaleel Farouk, and I think I had Drew Aller.
Yeah, Drew Aller. That's right. Yeah.
Aller or Aller?
I think it's Aller. We did it in episode 40. So the first episode of the 40s, we did breakout stars. Yeah. Episode 49, we're coming back to it, part number 2. Ben, your number 1 breakout star potential here in 2023.
I'm going to go with a guy, a very highly touted freshman. Drew just gave it away there. I'm going to go with Luther Burden. He was a monster in high school, very, very highly touted. And so a lot of teams wanted him. Chose to go to Missouri. He chose to stay at Missouri. A lot of people think he was going to transfer. But he stays at Missouri with Drew Lock. We're going to see what he can do. Did I say Drew Lock?
You said Drew Lock. Brady Cook.
Brady Cook. What
Drew Lock
kind of look the same.
No, Drew Lock did play at Missouri. That is wild, though. That's a wild pull. Like that's so random.
I got my Missouri quarterback and stuff. Brady Cook. He chooses to stay. Dominic Lovett is gone, so he is the certified number 1 at 375 yards, 6 touchdowns last year. And really, there's only room for him to grow. And I think that he is a receiver with as much potential as he wants on a Missouri team that could surprise people. He could have some great games against these higher up SEC teams. And I think he has high odds to actually break out and be a star for this Missouri team.
Start tripping over your words there.
I was trying to find the word. I couldn't find it, but so I like Luther Burden III here. And I think that in terms of being a star, I feel like he's already in the making of it, but I think he is going to have his breakout year this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a kid who's old enough to be a high school senior, goes out and plays SEC competition, has 6 touchdowns, 375 yards. Obviously, he's wide receiver too. Obviously, you had a little bit of problem with the quarterback being able to get him the ball in the right situations. A lot of people were thinking that he was, mad that he didn't get enough touches. A lot of people were thinking Luther Burden needs to transfer, go somewhere where he's going to be wide receiver 1, get a ton of touches. Dominic Lovett transferred. Luther Burden's QB1. Whether it's going to be Jay Garcia or Brady Cook, we're unsure right now whether it's going to be Jay Garcia or Brady Cook. As Ben would like to call him, Drew Lock. But, I mean, this kid
said Luther Burden was QB1, so I was going to hide it, but you made fun of me for saying that.
Luther Burden was a 5-star coming out of high school. He's a top 25 player in the class. He was like the number 2 wide receiver in the class as well. He's a big, big kid. He's got speed. He's got size. He's really everything you want in an SEC receiver. It's really about at Missouri, can people get him the ball in the correct situations? Can people give the ball to him on a jet sweep and let him cook? Can he get up the field, catch jump balls, and be a reliable wide receiver one at Missouri? I think so. Obviously, Ben, you think so as well. You want to elaborate on your 2023 breakout star?
Yeah, he's my height.
He's your height?
He's only 5'11".
I mean, he's 5'11", but he's freaking huge.
Yeah, there's the difference. And
Yeah.
that was also last year. So he definitely could have grown.
5'11", 220? I mean, that's freaking ginormous.
I'm 5'11", 130.
If you catch that dude on a curl route or on a slant or on some
man.
kind of out route, like he's got the size, man.
I would be scared.
Yeah, he's got the size.
Of course, I'd be scared. Yeah, he's a great player. I'm just looking. He's a guy that you would love to watch. So I think he will
For sure.
bring in views from Missouri here, and I think it'll be not just a breakout star, but also a player to watch for.
Yeah, he's gonna be a fun player. A lot of people may know the name of Luther Burden, but I think the production is definitely going to increase for Luther Burden, Eli Drinkowitz, and that Missouri team. Maybe they can be a little bit of a sleeper here in 2023. Ben, let's get to my guy, right? Let's get to my guy, and that is my guy, Devontae Walker, the UNC Tar Heel wide receiver, new on campus, came over from Kent State. He played under Andrew Souter and Sean Lewis in that offense. Obviously, Sean Lewis, now the OC at Colorado. He's got a really, really fun offense, played with Colin Schley, who's now a Power 5 quarterback. I think this kid has got all the stats to do what he needs to do to get into the NFL draft. I think if he would have stayed at Kent State, you're probably getting drafted in third, anywhere from the 3rd to the 7th round. Maybe you could sneak up higher on the boards if you have a really good season. Now, this kid is going to be put on the national scale. Devontae Walker is going to be a name that a lot of people know, right? Because last year at Kent State, maybe a lot of people aren't paying attention to him because he's playing in the MAC. He's playing on Thursday nights. He's not playing when a lot of people are going to be watching. But this year in the Power 5 with a top 5 NFL draft pick in this upcoming draft in Drake May, Devontae Walker is a guy that could be a 1st, 2nd, maybe even 3rd round draft pick here in 2023. He's a freak, man. He's a freak. 6'3", about 200 pounds, 921 yards, 11 touchdowns last year. The kid was all over the field. The kid was wide receiver 1 at Kent State. He was an absolute beast at Kent State. Now can he take it to the Power 5 level? He's going to have a guy that can get him the ball in Drake May, obviously. So I'm really excited for Devontae Walker. I think a lot of people are going to be able to know his name after this year. And the production that he's going to give UNC and Mac Brown is going to be crazy. And I think a lot of national media are going to take note.
Yeah, I loved watching what Josh Downs was able to do with Drake May.
Yeah.
And see how his production increased and became, what was he, a 2nd round pick?
Yeah.
I think he was 2nd round.
Yeah.
And so it could definitely be the same case here. You get a good connection with Drake May, and you could very well be set. It's a pass heavy team with a Heisman potential quarterback at the helm. And so I think Devontae Walker is set out to have a great season. As long as he's able to get a connection with Drake May and they understand each other, I could see him having a year relative to what Josh Downs just did.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the ball is going to go around, right? Drake May is going to get the ball out, right? They love to pass the football. I think he threw for 38 touchdowns off the top of the noggin. I think that's the exact stat. He threw for 38 touchdowns.
5 minutes ago.
Oh, did you really?
I mean, no. Yeah.
Oh,
you're right. You're
you
right.
were talking
You're
about
right.
it. Yeah, 38 touchdowns off the top of the dome there. Now, it's not really about
How many picks?
7.
Yeah.
6?
Yeah,
7. Okay, there you go. 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The ball's going to get out, right? He can throw the freaking football. So the ball's going to get out. Mac Brown wants to get this kid to football. There's a reason he brought him into the program, right? J.J. Jones, Devontae Walker, those guys are going to have to replace the Josh Downs, the Antoine Greens, who are off to the league. Those are 1,000-yard receivers, right? So now you get him the ball. Maybe if you're Devontae Walker, you catch for 700, 800, 900, maybe even 1,000 yards, have a really, really good season, work yourself into that top of the draft stock conversation here in 2023. Love this guy. He was number 6 in the 24/7 transfer portal rankings. Keep an eye out on Devontae Walker. I'll say that much. Ben, your 2nd breakout star. By the way, we got 3 each. So we're working down the list here. Only at 40 minutes, so we got some time to work with.
Might split this one.
Okay.
Because there's one that I like. It's everybody gets it, and then there's one that I kind of enjoy. I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The first one is it's a highly touted freshman again. It's Caleb Downs. This guy, he has everything you want in the safety, and I think Alabama is so ready for that. From literally not even the offseason yet, they were showing Caleb Downs like practice highlights, and it's like, okay, this guy is set out to break out. And so I think I'm super excited to watch this kid play. Bama's committed to him, and I think they're ready to play him in the secondary. and they are excited for him just as well as the college football world.
Yeah,
joining a top secondary in Alabama.
Great secondary. Yeah.
And so I think that they are very excited about that, and I think Caleb Downs is just set to have a great season.
Yeah, well built. One of the top players in all of college football recruiting rankings. Like, it was like top 10 in the class this past year. Just an absolute phenom of the Alabama secondary. Nick Saban brings these guys in for a reason. They're 5 stars. They're ready to play year one, right? This guy's going to go in. He's going to make an impact, whether it's 8 interceptions, whether it's 35 tackles. Like, it doesn't matter. The kid's going to make an impact. They're going to fly around. They want to go get the ball. They want to go get interceptions. They want to go make big hits. Kevin Steele as the new DC. I think this fits Caleb Downs perfectly schematically. I think the kid comes in. Kevin Steele works with athletes, right? He works with just raw athletes. Go get interceptions, go fly around. Nick Saban always has pretty good defensive teams. I think when they don't have as great of a year, they rely too much on the offense. And I think Caleb Downs is one of the perfect guys to anchor down that secondary. As a true freshman, you got 2-3 years of them. So look out in Tuscaloosa. Like you said, Ben, Caleb Downs is an absolute problem.
Yeah, they're able to progress Jordan Battle and DeMar Helms pretty well there.
Yep.
So I think they could definitely do the same with Caleb Downs, and I'm excited for that secondary.
Yeah, not to mention guys like, Brian Branch, like all those guys out of the Alabama secondary recently have been absolutely phenomenal. So,
and then second half, can I do my second half real quick?
Yeah, go ahead and do your second half.
Okay, I got to move over to a guy. You got a Tennessee player, I got an Oklahoma player. Okay, it's just fair. I got Dason McCullough. He's just a great player. Coming off of 4 sacks as a true freshman in the Indiana offense that was in the Big Ten, so it's very competitive defensive games. So I'm excited for Dason McCullough in our defensive scheme. We are setting himself up to have a great pass rusher year, and so I'm excited to see what he's able to do as in this defense. Yeah.
I love Dason McCullough, Ben. I know all offseason you've been really high on the kid coming over from Indiana. He's got a really good potential to be one of the best playmakers at Oklahoma this season. I think he's going to be expected to be in that role. I like Dason McCullough and Caleb Downs. 2 great picks from you there, Ben. Been kind of spoiled it just a little bit. I got a Tennessee guy on the list. Second time we're doing Breakout Stars. Second time I got a Tennessee guy on the list. This time it's a defensive player. This time it's Aaron Beasley. The linebacker, he was a solid piece for Tim Banks in this Tennessee defense last year. He was able to go out. He had 39 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 37 assists. He came on late as one of the bigger playmakers on Tennessee's defense. He played great in the Orange Bowl. He had a pretty good game against Vanderbilt in the last week of the season. With Jeremy Banks out in those last couple of games due to locker room problems and all that kind of stuff, he stepped into that linebacker role like nobody's business, right? He was a liability throughout the first couple of weeks of the season. When I looked up, I got mad at the kid over and over and over again as a Tennessee fan watching the game. But he came on late. He was in there being able to force pressure on the QB like we saw it in the Orange Bowl against Cade Klubnik. He was able to cause pressure and wreak havoc in that backfield against Clemson. So I really like the kid. I think he could blossom into the key piece of this Volunteer defense, maybe make a name for himself in the NFL draft as well. He's a senior. He's a leader, right? He's a veteran. His time has come. Aaron Beasley, breakout star in 2023 for me, Ben.
Of course, I love that pick. I remember watching this Orange Bowl game, and I was like, dude, Aaron Beasley is a
Came
dog.
out of nowhere. Yeah.
He had 2 sacks, 4 TFLs. Mm-hmm. He showed out, and so I'm excited to see if he can just continue this play. He could be a very great player for this Tennessee defense, and I would say it's a linebacker that y'all need off the edge, and so I think he could be very essential to this Tennessee defense. That the secondary needs some help. For sure. And so if you can get that pass rush working, then you can help out the secondary.
Yeah.
So Aaron Beasley will be a part of that, and I think that he has the potential to show out.
Yeah, like you said, great guy off the edge. That's really important because we miss out on Byron Young this year. Obviously, he got drafted in the 3rd round of the Rams. Like you said, secondary needs some work. We get a couple guys back from injury, like Warren Burrell. Kamal Haddon's coming back. Christian Charles gets another year of experience. So a lot of guys in the secondary that should be expected to be better players this year. I guess you never know. It's college football. But, yeah, Aaron Beasley is going to be a huge piece. Jeremy Banks gone for Tennessee. Alante Taylor gone for Tennessee. He's going to be the veteran leader on this defense. That's a huge role. SEC veteran leader on a defense. We'll see how he does. I like him to take a huge step up statistically and maybe even make a jump in the NFL draft stock as well. We got one more each, Ben, before we close out episode 49. I will let you get to it. Again, make sure go check out these lists. We'll probably have a graphic up for you sometime in the week after the episode is up on Instagram, on Twitter. Go check those things out. We are definitely excited to bring those graphics to you. But Ben, your last breakout star of the week.
Yeah, so my guy came off a Bolitnikov finalist year, and so it's hard to say that he's going to have a breakout or star season when he already is a star, but I think he's going to improve in ways that we are kind of in a lot. Yeah, it's going to be Dorian Singer. Transfers to USC for, a top, maybe the best quarterback in college football. Yeah. Jordan Addison is gone. Mario Williams is
there
iffy, he's but Dorian Singer, I would say by week 3 or 4, I would say Dorian Singer is the certified one. And so I think he will be able to have I think he has the potential to have a better than Bolitnikov finalist year and maybe win the Bolitnikov. You're playing in an offense with Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
All you need to be able to do is run around and then find yourself open somehow, and he will get you the ball. So for Dorian Singer, who had 1,100 yards as a sophomore, 6 touchdowns, I think his touchdown production will increase, and he will find the ball, and the ball will find him. So I think him and Caleb Williams will have a great connection, and I think this guy is poised to have a very great season.
Yeah, I really like this pick of Dorian Singer. Obviously, a lot of people may say, hey, he's not a breakout star. He was 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, great wide receiver, one of the best in the Pac-12 last season. That is all true, right? Like Ben said, Bolitnikov finalist. I really see this just in the same as Jordan Addison last year, right? He went to Pitt. Pitt was a decent team, right? They were not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't going to go out and compete for national championship. They went out. They had a subpar quarterback. They weren't, great, but I think Jordan Addison literally won the Bolitnikov with a, middle of the road to above average. Kenny Pickett was him. Kenny Pickett was him.
I was hoping you remember that Kenny Pickett was the quarterback.
Kenny Pickett was really good. So it's hard. What I'm trying to say is he went from I would say it's hard to say that Caleb Williams
is a better passer than Kenny Pickett.
It's hard to say because Caleb Williams is not in the NFL, but in college, I think Caleb Williams was the better quarterback. Like he went to a better college quarterback from Kenny Pickett to Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison did. Yeah. So in that, I'm not trying to call Kenny Pickett mid. I was just saying he went from a lesser passer to a better passer in Kenny Pickett to Caleb Williams. And same thing with Dorian Singer. Obviously, Jane DeLora is not of the level of QB as Kenny Pickett. No shade to Jane DeLora. He's a pretty good QB. He went out there and threw for 1,100 yards to Dorian Singer and 6 touchdowns. We'll see how he does without him. But if you can do that under the Arizona offense, under a pretty bad Pac-12 team, you have got a lot of production coming your way at USC. Like Ben said, Mario Williams is pretty good. Marshawn Lloyd is going to be a guy who's going to be able to produce out of the backfield a little bit as a receiver. You've got a couple other good receivers around you, but you caught for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns with Arizona. Man, I think you can go out and you can catch for 1,700 yards. Like Ben said, touchdown numbers increase, and I think you can be a first-round NFL draft pick. No doubt about it. Great decision to move over to USC. Sorry, I got a little emphatic there. But I think moving to USC was the right decision for Dorian Singer. Production's bound to increase here in 2023.
I agree.
I got another Pac-12 receiver for you, Ben. How do you like that? Another Pac-12 receiver. My guy is Devon Vele. Shout out to Devon Vele's wife, Pause. She liked my tweet over on Twitter. I said something along the lines of Emory Simmons, Micah Pittman, Devon Vele, all those guys at Utah. A lot of good things coming for Utah. She liked it, Devon Vele's wife. So shout out to her in like the most positive way you can.
Right.
This kid's really good, right? He's 6'5", 210 pounds. He's the absolute perfect wide receiver one for Cam Rising. Cam Rising likes to throw the ball to big targets. I think he is one of the QBs that's got that one target that he loves to go to. If he's got that one target, he's set, right? We've seen that with Dalton Kincaid the past couple of years. He's obviously now in the NFL. That's 800 and something yards. I got it written down here. 890 yards to make up for with Dalton Kincaid gone to the NFL. So yeah. Devon Vele, Micah Pittman transferring in from FSU is a huge step in the right direction for this offense. But I think Devon Vele is that wide receiver one. He can be a huge downfield threat for the Utes. I think he's going to be one of the better wide receivers in the Pac-12. Obviously, you've got guys like Dorian Singer, Travis Hunter, Roma Dunzy from Washington. You've got a couple of great guys in that Pac-12 wide receiver room, but I think Devon Bailey's got the opportunity to put himself into that top-tier conversation, become an NFL draft pick. And, he had the production last year, been almost 700 yards receiving. So I love Devon Bailey. We're going back-to-back Pac-12 receivers to end off episode 49. Your take on Mr. Bailey?
Yeah, for this, it's really, in my opinion, I would say it's a touchdown production. Kincaid was the red zone target. You know, they went to him. Yep. So for Devon Bailey, if he can come in there and produce in the red zone like Kincaid was able to do, he could have a absolutely stellar season. And I think Cam Rising could eventually, they could have a great connection, and he could be definitely looking for him in the red zone.
Yep.
And so I think Bailey is all these guys. I just love their transfer spots. For most of these transfer guys that we have up here, I feel like they all went to the best case scenarios, and I think Bailey also did. And so I like where he's going here, and I think Cam Rising and him could have a great connection.
Yeah, Devon Bailey is coming back for his second or third year with Cam Rising. So the connection should be there with Cam Rising and Devon Bailey. He's speedy. He's 6'5". He should be a downfield, like you said, red zone threat for the Utah Utes. If Cam Rising stays healthy throughout this offseason, which has kind of been in question the past couple of weeks, but if he can stay healthy, he's going to be able to go out, sling the ball to Devon Bailey. He's already an all-conference honorable mention this past season. So if he can make that jump all Pac-12 first or all Pac-12 second team with this kind of receiving talent in the conference, I think he's going to be one of those guys that gets national media attention, NFL draft attention. He's got local attention, Southern Boy Sports out here chatting about him, but maybe you get, these big companies, these big national media members to go out there and talk about a guy like Devon Bailey. So Devon Bailey, a guy who could break out in 2023 for Utah, and I got no doubt about that one. Ben, episode 49, they always fly by. They always do fly by. It was another great day in the Southern Boy Sports offices. Like we said, could be a delay on episode 50. We'll keep you updated on the socials. Not completely sure on that one, but Ben will be in Hawaii. You pumped for Hawaii?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've never been. Should be fun. Maybe we make the trip out for Hawaii and Vandy week 0 in the next couple of weeks. And this is about to play some Arabic Muslim stuff.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna play some Muslim music.
There we go.
On the TV.
It's turned off. Mm-hmm.
There was a TV behind us, and it was going to play Muslim tunes, which I'm down for.
I've never tried.
No, I've never tried Muslim tunes, but
we'll let y'all know.
Yeah, we'll give it a listen. It was written in Arabic, so I was a little bit nervous of the TV blasting in the background, Muslim music, and ruining the outro of the episode. But it did not.
We're good.
Episode 49, closing with the soothing voices of Ben and Drew. Ben, any objections before we close off episode 49 of the show?
No, I'm all right.
It's been a great episode. Episode 49, we talked Breakout Stars. We talked 2024 NCAA video game cover athlete. We also talked about some trap games coming your way here in 2023. Follow us on Twitter at @so_boy_sports. Follow us on Instagram at @southern_boy_sports_pod. Spotify, give us a 5-star review, like and subscribe over on YouTube. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It really does actually help. I know a lot of corny YouTubers do talk about that stuff, but we would love it. We would love to see how many people are really invested in the podcast. Good amount of views, more and more views on each episode, which is a good thing. So make sure, go over there, subscribe. While you're at it, go over to UNIVERSITYTRADITIONS.BIZ. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm pointing right at the hat. Absolutely awesome hat from University Traditions and the College Station collection. So code SBS15 at checkout. We'll get you 15% off your purchase there. Go to laststandhats.com and use code SOUTHERNBOYS to get 10% off your purchase over there. Officially licensed Texas gear. Really, really cool stuff. So, Ben, this has been a good one. Episode 49, same time, same place next week. See you, boys.